Hello everyone and welcome back to Screamers. It feels like a long time since we've been in the studio. We don't have Honor. She is down in the West Country, but we are here flying the flag. How are you doing, Jessie?
I'm all right. I'm enjoying the sunshine, missing the WSL, but at least we've had some other football to get stuck into. So shall we get started?
Let's do it.
So 2 big games for England on the road to Brazil. I keep wanting to call it the road to Rio, and then I remember, no, there's like 7 other host cities.
It's got a good ring to it, though.
Yeah, like we need to, what's a word for like journey that begins with a B? The thinking face is quite intense, everybody.
I bet there's a really obvious one that we're missing.
Well, answers on a postcard, please, Screamers listeners. But we had our first qualifier matchup with Spain, followed by a trip to Iceland, 2 1-0 wins. 2 very different 1-0 wins, I'd say. We were at Wembley on Tuesday night. Should we start there?
Yes.
The vibes are quite good vibes for a midweek game, I thought.
Yeah, I think it was interesting. We sat somewhere slightly different to where we usually sit, and the crowd did feel quite different to what we're used to.
Yeah.
But having said that, yeah, I thought it was a pretty good turnout for the game. I can't remember what exactly it was.
66,000 or something like that. I wonder how many of those people would have been in the stadium before kickoff for the Mary Earps goodbye moment. They're really difficult. When do you put them?
I also think having a game at 7 o'clock, the kickoff, it doesn't sound early, but to get to Wembley after work, it's pretty hard getting there at kickoff, let alone before kickoff or like 6:40 for that sort of presentation. So I don't know, like a weekend game I feel would be a much easier sell for that kind of thing.
Yeah, you can actually make it a moment that people can factor in rather than racing across London and throwing yourself onto a Metropolitan line train to make it there.
Exactly. But, nice for her that she got her moment, and good to see that there is it felt like she was being very well supported by the Lionesses, and that maybe people aren't feeling as negatively towards her as maybe some of us thought. Yeah,
it's drawing the line, understand that. I would say there are other people within the extended former Lionesses family who are causing more of an issue in women's football at the minute. Akira Walsh also got commended with her 100th cap with a little gold animation as her name was announced, which was quite cute. I thought we were pretty good value, safe without being spectacular.
I agree. I think the first half especially, our game plan obviously worked really well, and I think obviously Spain are missing Bon Mati, and that is going to always make a huge impact for them, but also at the same time we were missing in that game Leah Williamson. I mean, the centre-back pairing of Lotta and Esme Morgan, I never thought I would see that in a Spain game under Serena Wiegman.
Yeah, I keep thinking back to sort of like 2 years ago and the nerves I felt whenever Esme Morgan was in the starting lineup for England, and now I honestly think she would be one of my first names down on the starting lineup. She's just that move to Washington Spirit has been the absolute best thing for her career. I
think also it hasn't just been her playing, it's like her personal development has obviously come on so much, and that just feeds into your game, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you're right. I think that was such a good move for her.
I also love the jokes that everybody makes of like, when she's off pitch, she's so lovely, and like, oh, what's this, like these friendship bracelets I'm making, and watch this cute video I'm doing with Sandy, and on the pitch it's like, I'll punch you. I'll punch you, I will do it. Don't you come near my friends. But her and Lotta as well, for having such a patchy season in terms of game time, not in terms of performances, but to be so comfortable against, they're missing Bon Mati, but they've still got Pina, Pateas, Vicky Lopez can bring on Paoluela. Like they're not lacking in attack, are they?
No, and I think like we've seen it before. Like Lotta has had just moments of brilliance, and actually like some amazing seasons in the last few years, but it didn't quite come together for her in the Euro season, which was such a shame.
Yeah.
But it does feel like even though she hasn't had that consistent time, even for Arsenal, she has been, when she's been on the pitch, she's been so brilliant this season. And yeah, I'm really happy for her that she was on the pitch for this game and that they won. I mean, I think it got a little bit shakier in the second half, and Hannah Hampton was having to pull out some amazing saves, which again, like Hannah Hampton hasn't been having the best season either.
Yeah, she just needed Mary Epps in the stadium to get over the yips. Like, oh, sorry, I just forgot myself.
Sonia
there.
should get her at all of their league games.
An extended invite for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. But yeah, look, I think it was really nice to see Lucia Kendall on the pitch. I was really gutted for her that she missed that amazing chance.
Yeah,
that would have been quite epic for her to score against Spain.
It was just like, don't take that extra touch. Come on, hit it first time. This new crop of players are really seizing their chance. I think Lucia Kendall, Laura Blinkett-Brown, they're really like taking the moment of some players not being, Toon's been out for how long now with injury. Other players have been in and out, and they're really establishing that claim to the spot and to be on the plane to Brazil.
I agree. I actually think it has been weirdly a blessing in disguise. Well, for our squad rotation that Toon's been out, just because Jess Park, Laura Blinkilde-Brown and Lucia Kendall, like revolving in that number 10, even though these games aren't friendlies and they're World Cup qualifiers, I'm not sure Serena Wiegman would have been giving them the game time they're getting if Toon wasn't injured. But it means that we're going to go into the next year so much better prepared, and with all these players who have played Spain in a competitive game and, you know, played all these important matches and played really well and been able to get comfortable in that environment. So I think especially for those three, like it's been really, really exciting seeing these new young midfielders come through.
And they all have sort of versatility as well. They can all kind of play across a couple of different positions. I think the real person who's missing out is Grace Clinton, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's so interesting because when we were talking about that swap that Jess Park and Grace Clinton did at the beginning of the season, it felt like actually Grace Clinton was going to come off better. Yeah. And actually it's been the complete, which so often happens, but it really has been the complete opposite.
Yeah. There's so many names in the mix at City. It's such a stacked squad. Whereas at United, you have a bit more space to be not the star of the show, but, you know, make
your mark a bit more.
Yeah. So and obviously Grace Clinton struggled with injuries as well. But I would be very surprised if she forces herself back into contention. But then we don't know what's going to happen next season, you know.
Totally. And also I wonder for Grace Clinton, I wonder how she feels in terms of the swap, because she has joined a team that is now going to win the league and, you know, Man U are fighting for a Champions League place. And so I wonder if it is as sort of negative as it seems from the outside.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? And like personal development versus team development versus, you know, there's so many things that go into it.
And if they go into Champions League next season, you know, she might get more minutes at Man City and then that might get her back into contention. But you're right, like it feels very much Jess Park and Laura Blinkilde-Brown are kind of elbowing her out at the moment.
Especially if Serena keeps up on her trend of, incredibly unlike her, calling up lots of young ones. Who knows? I feel like all of the young players in England have gone from never having a sniff at getting in the squad to now it's kind of like, it's like being the Sugar Babes. It's going to come for all of them at some point.
I feel like she's taking a leaf out of Emma Hayes' book. She's seen what Emma Hayes has gone and done it in the USA. Yeah. Rotating. Yeah. And she's like, shit, actually, we need to have some depth for the World Cup.
That helps,
that's actually quite a good idea.
I've heard that's quite a good thing. We probably should talk about the goal, except we didn't.
We barely saw it. Yeah, it was at the other end and it was the most almighty scramble. I will say, watching it back, a moment of genius from Alessia Russo.
To do that, and it wasn't like she was like, you know, scrambling for the ball. It was clearly intentional. Yeah. To get that assist off around, I think Patry was around her peanut, like incredible players. And then the Lauren Hemp sort of semi-bicycle kick.
And then just like 4 defenders standing around doing nothing.
And I was watching the replay and Putellas does that thing of you take a touch, you know, Spanish players, they sort of cushion the ball, so they'll take a touch back to then give themselves space.
Into the goal.
Yeah, and just lets it cross the goal line. Like, Alexia, no! What are you doing?
It was a bit of a gift, I have to say, but not to take away from the brilliance of Alessia Russo and Lauren Hemp, of course.
Yeah, it was magic. I think everybody, there wasn't a player I thought put a foot wrong, even when it started to get a bit panicky. I think we just looked, it was such a good game plan. We know we're never going to go in and dominate possession and batter Spain, but we've kind of figured out ways now to play against them, which I feel quite confident about. And then we came to Saturday and just made quite hard work against Iceland.
It's crazy, isn't it, how you can execute such a calm, out-of-possession game plan against Spain and then do that against Iceland.
Yeah. Like, no, sorry, guys, it's meant to be the other way round. It's meant to be the more difficult. Not to slam Iceland, but come on.
Yeah, like Iceland, look, to their credit, they were really well organised. They are a really powerful side. Yeah. They really switched it on in the second half. They're really good at set pieces. However... Yeah. Like, we are supposed to be one of the best teams in Europe at the moment. Yeah. And we shouldn't be struggling that much against that side.
No, and you can say maybe, you know, the pitch wasn't quite as good as a pitch at Wembley and things like that. And Iceland play a very different game. They're not going out to dominate possession. I think we had 75% possession in the first half. So we have traditionally, as England, struggled to break down nice teams that just sit deep, don't we? And then when you've got Jonsdottir who can throw a ball back 6 miles, like
that really helps.
Like every time she just took a throw in our half, everyone was like, okay, protect the box. It's gonna come, guys, like a rocket launcher. Mind, who is that Irish player that did the same thing against us?
now I can't remember what she's called. But
And
yes.
it does seem like every time there's a long throw against England, we forget everything about defending set pieces. Oh my God, it's coming. They've launched
the
it.
shock.
But Hannah Hampton again, keeping us in it with some great saves.
She really was. I mean, she was player of the match, wasn't she? And she really earned that because
Lost for words.
I just remember watching it, just being like, "What's happening?"
Yeah.
Like in Serena's post match, she was like, essentially, it shouldn't have been that hard, and she's right. Like, we did get the points, and thank God we got the points.
Yeah.
Because an automatic qualification would be amazing, and we are, touch wood, on a really good track to get there.
Slap your own head. You're surrounded by wood in the studio, but to slap your own head, fine.
But I mean, thank God we've got Russo, who just needs one chance to capitalise, and Hemp, whose speed, like, that was an amazing burst and a perfectly placed ball to Russo.
One last thing from that game was in Hannah Hampton was interviewed after the game, and these incredible saves and you player of the match, and Serena talked up what you did, and she was like, yeah, it's just what I do though, isn't it? It's just kind of my job.
Oh yeah, she was like, yeah, it's just my job.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Like, yes, it is. You can take the praise though, Hannah.
So we're now on 4 wins in 4. So we're on 12 points. We've got 2 more games.
Yep.
Spain away in Mallorca and Ukraine in June. So if we win both of them, we'll be guaranteed automatic qualification.
Yeah.
Which would be great.
Which would be ideal.
I would love to be seeded for the draw.
Yeah. The one thing that's unsettling me a little bit is Spain ate up all of the goal difference advantage that we had on them.
Right. So if we were to lose to Spain and they win their other game, they might actually be the ones that go through top place.
Yeah. Because I think we were ahead. We had a 4 goal advantage and they beat Ukraine 5-0 on Saturday before we played Iceland.
And then, of course, we've had our 2 1-0 games.
Yeah. So, you celebrate the win, but a couple more goals would be nice, girls.
Yeah, I mean, being drawn in a group with Spain has been quite annoying for us, I have to say.
I mean, it's also, I know it was the sort of League A pots were the top teams 1 to 16 ranked, but it does seem quite strange to have had the current World Cup holder, the current double Euros holder, the teams who played each other in the last World Cup final in the same group.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we do need to introduce an element of seeding into this because I don't think we need this right now.
Let's hope we come out on top.
Yeah. And who else we're hoping comes out on top is Wales, who are currently second only on goal difference. I mean, their form. Do you remember they were on that run of sort of after the Euros, about 6-7 losses, and in the last 4 games, two wins, 2 draws, I think.
So who's in their group again?
So Czechia, who they are tied top with on points, and they're just ahead slightly on goal difference. Albania, who they played the 2 matches against this international break, and Montenegro, who are rooted to the bottom, sadly, 0 points and quite a lot of goals against them. It was very much a tale of like 2 ways to win a game because they battered Albania in the first game. It was like 4-0. Lovely football, just like brilliant play all over the pitch. And then this one was very much like let's get it over the line. Let's just do it. Let's just get it somewhere. And it was quite interesting. I think the one thing that maybe Wales need to work to identify now, and they've got a lot of young players coming through as well, is Rhiannon Wilkinson said in her post-match, like, this is the kind of game that a moment of Jess Fishlock magic would unlock. And obviously we don't have that now, so it's figuring out how to win those games when we don't have somebody who can do that.
Yeah.
Or I guess finding somebody who can do that, like giving someone the space to grow into that role.
Yeah, and I think actually Hannah Kane has really shown a lot of that in the last year, like both for club and in Wales. So it obviously they had quite a difficult time after the Euros with that run of losses. So maybe she just needs a bit more time now to build that confidence back in camp. And but I think she has at times shown that she's a great finisher.
Yeah.
And can pull it out the bag.
Yeah. And Mairead Griffiths is super exciting as well. They were missing Kerry Holland through injury from this. So just imagine if Wales get to their first World Cup, automatic qualification.
That would be so incredible. So they're 2 goals behind on goal difference, which is not insurmountable at all.
And their last game of the World Cup qualifiers is against Czechia in Cardiff.
Wow. And
I'm just saying, the coach wasn't that bad last time we went to Cardiff. I think we should go down again.
That does sound tempting.
Yeah, I'm not going up to Everton to watch.
Well, can I just say, though, I'm quite tempted by a little trip to Mallorca.
You're always tempted by a little trip to Mallorca. Football is irrelevant at that point.
So 1 more camp left to decide these groups.
And then there's a very complicated playoff system, which I tried to read yesterday. And admittedly, I had 2 pints, but I was like, I don't really know what's going on here.
Yeah, if we don't qualify first, we promise we will properly work out how that's going to work.
Yeah, we'll do some research. But there was lots of other games. There was so much international football. And it's quite interesting. There's been so many debates about whether this international break is good for women's football, whether it disrupts some of the momentum of the leagues. Obviously, it's been very patchy in terms of how much WSL action there's been recently. But I do think it was worth it entirely for there was a moment in the Brazil-Canada game. Didn't really see the build-up, but Jade Rivier's protesting about something, and then it cuts to Carolyn, who's talking to the ref, who just really takes the piss out of Jade Riviere, like mocks out like she was protesting, like, worth it just for that. We cannot get rid of this international break just for that moment.
Wow, Brazil's had a good international break, haven't they?
I mean, there's been
goal fest,
lots of goals, lots of.
And I saw that Beata Olsen had her first international cap with Sweden this international break. You must be very proud.
I feel like a proud parent, honestly. Between that and Aurelie Schelag just doing bits for Switzerland as well. I'm like, look at my babies going off and doing good in the world. Speaking of international goal fests, I reckon this gives us a good opportunity to pick our latest screamers of the week. Maya, what are you putting up for contention?
I was really excited to watch the Brazil-Zambia highlights because they won that game 6-1. But then when I watched them, half of those goals are penalties.
Yeah. And if there's one thing we will never pick as a screamer, it is a penalty.
They were in danger of 2 goalkeepers being sent off in that game. They very narrowly missed the second one getting sent off.
Why are Brazil never in normal football matches? What? Just have a straightforward game, girls. God's sake.
So my screamer actually comes from Ireland, Poland. Shout out to Marissa Shiva's goal, which was a screamer. It was the 3rd goal for Ireland. They won that game 3-2. But I am picking Katie McCabe's volley. Absolute rocket.
I thought you might pick this gun. I was like, there was another screamer you've not mentioned in that game, but I think you're probably going with the Katie McCabe one.
It came off a corner. Poland sort of tried to clear that corner. She's hanging around like a sort of shark.
Loitering.
outside the box. And it sort of falls to her and she volleys it with so much power, so much flair, just straight into the back of the net.
Yeah, it was an incredible volley. It's just the technique to do it as well, because she does it so calmly in the moment.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Hits it, you're like, you just think it's easy, and then the amount of technique it takes. It was great. Shout out also to Payor's goal from that game. The sort of chip with the outside of the foot over the keeper was great.
That was a great game, actually.
Yeah, that was really exciting, and like proper battle, which was quite nice. First off, shout out to my girlfriend's goal at the weekend for ex-girlfriend. Keeper cleared it, fell straight to her, and then it was just begging to be hit, and she hit it, and it looped perfectly over. Unfortunately, I don't have video footage of it, but I did abandon my neutrality as Lino to just cheer and shout screamer over and over. But I am gonna pick Aurelie Schilag's goal. It was this beautiful ball in across from I think it was Imambeni who put the ball in, and Schelag just jumps and back heel volleys it past completely wrong foots the keeper, lets it sort of come through her leg and then flick it back. And it's like, there are so many easier ways to have taken that ball. Why is that what you did? But also it's magnificent. Please do it many times for Liverpool. So we'll put the clips of those and the honourable mentions up on Instagram for you to take a look at, and then you can vote on Spotify and Instagram for your Screamer of the Week.
Since we haven't been in the studio for a couple of weeks and the football news pipeline has been piping.
The Pied Piper of football piping.
So what do you want to start with?
I watched a couple of days ago, there was a new documentary from Wolves. Do you remember last season when the news broke that they'd been in the title race all season against Nottingham Forest to come up the Championship?
Oh, yeah.
And the news broke just after the last game of the season that even if they had won the league, they wouldn't have been able to go up because the club had not applied for the correct licence or whatever they needed.
For the promotion, yeah.
And, just that betrayal of the players. And Wolves put out a new documentary on their YouTube, which basically covers the changes there have been over the year since that point. What's different now about the team? But it interviewed the thing that really I thought was really incredible about the documentary was they interviewed some of the players and also Dan McNamara, who's the coach, and he was just so open about what a blow that was, and how much it just felt like the rug being pulled out from them. He was ready to walk away from Wolves because it felt like such a betrayal. And just you don't often hear coaches who are then still in that role. And he said, I went and I interviewed for other roles, and I was offered things, but none of them spoke to me the way this club does. But I just didn't know. He said, I almost told the players this was the end of the line. I don't see where we go from here. Like,
wow.
It was really, really just like a great insight into what that must have been like.
So what have the changes been like?
So I think the broader Wolves structure is now taking a much sort of closer operations look at Wolves to make sure they don't miss things like, deadlines that they need to...
So are they saying it was a mistake, or was it a mistake?
I think it was a deliberate choice, but also because there was no real oversight from anybody, no one picked up on it.
Right, okay,
So I think it's much closer together. There's now like an advisory board about the women's team. It's made up of a few former players for Wolves. They are advertising, actually saw on Twitter, they're advertising for a head of women's and girls football. So it does feel like they've realised that there is a lot of attention being paid, and also you can't let your players down like this. And they are in really strong odds. Obviously I'm biased because my dad is from Wolverhampton and is a Wolves fan, but I really, really hope they come up this season.
Yeah, I mean, they're second in the league and only 1 point behind Burnley,
who are a professional team. Burnley are like full time, and Wolves are still, I think they only have 1 or 2 players still who are on sort of official part-time contracts. And so they're putting a properly funded team the whole way, and there is an extra playoff spot this season.
Of course.
So there is a stronger chance than ever to come up to the Championship. So I'm rooting for them.
There's quite a big gap between them and third place. So
yeah. But it would be nice if it was, you didn't have to play a playoff.
Yeah.
You could just come up automatically. It'd be quite nice, wouldn't it?
What about the news of World Sevens?
Yeah.
Some more announcements
that have they set the excitement going. I'm not sure with the when you announce a West Ham. It's never gonna cause a massive storm, is it?
I don't know. I agree, but I also think someone like Shakira Martinez would be quite good value on a sevens pitch.
Yeah, that is. Oh my God, and Vivier Say as well. Yeah, it's gonna either be chaos or it's gonna be beautiful. And I don't know what it's gonna be.
I would love to hear from World Sevens if this is their new model. I know I sound like a broken record, but I still just don't think it's as fun just having English teams in. Or WSL, whether that's WSL and WSL2, I'm not sure they've said.
Well, I think the first rumours were that it was WSL teams, and then I've noticed they have said English teams.
Oh, have they? Okay. So they probably expanded it a bit.
Yeah, I do. My suspicion is that whoever wins the championship will be in it.
That could be quite fun, but I still think it's just not quite the same offering as it was the first time round.
No, I would have loved to have seen some of the Scottish teams in, and more teams from the championship. And it depends, I guess it's clubs have to apply for it, and who's got the money and the media savvy to recognise what the opportunity is, which maybe that is more likely to be Birmingham in the championship than it is Charlton.
Yeah,
so
true.
Maybe they'll be in it regardless. But it'll be fun. I mean, I'm still looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. I definitely want to try and go down for the Saturday.
I'm going to be there. I mean, if you're my boss and you're listening, I will not be working from Brentford. I won't have my laptop in the stands while the music's going off around me. I'll try not to schedule any calls for then.
One team that I don't think are going to be announced are Arsenal for the World Sevens.
Right.
Because it has been announced that we've got 7 games in a 20-day period coming up, which is obviously insane.
Can't wait for the documentary about it to drop. I'm sure there'll be some content.
But I just think, jokes aside, this is a calendar failure.
It's a calendar failure, and it's an injury crisis waiting to happen, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And overloading.
Especially because none of them are sort of games that anyone is going to be sitting back on. It's coming to the end of the season, trying to get second in the league and trying to get to the Champions League final. There are no games there that we're going to be not playing our strongest squad. I mean, obviously we're not going to be able to play our strongest squad every game, but everyone is going to be run ragged by this.
I mean, the one argument, I guess, is that everyone will be firing on all cylinders ready to go into the Champions League final if needed. But it does seem like a real mistake in terms of the calendar management.
It's just painful to even think about, isn't it? What's coming down the road. It just doesn't feel like they're going to come out of this unscathed at all.
No. And also it's going to be, I do think the atmosphere will suffer as well. Some of these midweek games that aren't the Champions League ones, but is it Everton like possibly kicking off at 6? Possibly
Yeah,
kicking
exactly.
off at 7?
I mean, I'm looking at they keep sending me my tickets for all these random games I just can't go to because I've got work and like there's just so many of them.
Yeah, it does feel like I would have been surprised if Arsenal were in it anyway. I don't know. It just didn't feel like they were going to be a World Sevens team. And I feel like they're obviously hedging their bets and announcing some of them pending the FA Cup semi-finals. So you'd assume one of either Liverpool or Brighton and one of Chelsea and City are in it. It's going to sound so silly, but I feel like Chelsea are too serious for World Sevens.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It doesn't feel like it's their bag.
No.
But maybe they'll surprise us.
Maybe Sonia will have some big, novelty blue sunglasses and just really lean into the vibe and just be cheerful with her shouting rather than screaming down the team. Another thing that I saw, which was San Marino, who I think still their men's team is the bottom ranked team in the world, have just announced that they are going to set up their first ever senior national women's team.
Wow.
Yeah, I think they've been doing some stuff at youth levels, but it's they're on a journey. It's not like right chuck us straight into competition. But there is a fan account who I've sort of been aware of for a few years who follows the men's team, and in the bio it says proud follower of the worst team in international football, but goes I remember last year when San Marino won one of their first Nations League games. It went absolutely ballistic. It was so funny to watch the tweets, and I just really hope that same energy is brought over to the women's team because that's the way you're going to get people to pay attention to them as well. And people love having their like cult random team around the world. So make it San Marino women, everyone.
And fans of Screamers will remember when we were really comforting Honor because the WSL fantasy game had announced that it was closing down.
Her period of mourning has just about ended.
Just in time
for the new announcement of the Phoenix rising from the ashes. Somewhat different form.
So the league themselves, I think possibly we could have predicted this, are coming out with their own fantasy game.
And have decided to not incorporate, any of the work that Aerial Fantasy put into that and the learnings that they had from the audience. And no, let's just build our own thing in a way that no one really wants. And let's merge two leagues together into the fantasy football because they're not going to have like a team for the WSL and team for WSL 2.
It's so strange because it's like fantasy football has existed for such a long time and it works within leagues because it's the players that play against each other and it's about player rankings, and I don't know, it just seems like such a misunderstanding of what fantasy football is and also just a needless we obviously don't know the reason why they decided not to why they didn't work with aerial football. We don't know the reason, but it does seem from the outside that it would have been so much simpler if they could just like work with aerial fantasy and for their game to become like the official game. Yeah,
it also means they would have avoided things like on the press release where they were announcing it and saying fans can help shape it. That if they had worked with the people who'd set up the previous well-loved iteration, they might have avoided the graphic of Alessia Russo's points profile where it's listed as she scored 4 points against Everton, but it's the Liverpool crest, and she got 1 point against Liverpool, but it's the Spurs crest. And just don't need to know the own teams in our league, do we? Eh? It's things like this. They just don't help themselves.
No,
to
exactly.
Football, do they? There's
that's a real own goal, and they really could have avoided that.
Get the crests right for God's sake, if nothing else. One last thing I wanted to shout out is we've spoken about Union Berlin a few times here and there over the course of Screamers. They're very much like the one club ride or die vibe of Germany, and they have made history on the men's side over the past couple of weeks by Marie-Louise Etter is the first woman to manage a men's team in the top 5 leagues. And I have loved specifically the Union Berlin account just absolutely having no time for misogynists in the replies. To the extent, I think they told one of them that you just fuck off then. I'm like, I'm not sure an actual team account should be doing this, but so here for it. And they are just very much like, no, if you like Union Berlin, you're going to be on board with this. And if you're not, take a hike. And I would love more clubs to have that kind of attitude about supporting their women's team. Yeah,
they're the team that we like look to, right? Is that as the real epitome of that one club thing. So it feels so fitting that they're the club that have appointed this manager.
Yeah.
I think her interviews have been really interesting too, that she's just like, it's not about me being a woman, like I'm just a good manager type thing, which I think also is so fair. But being the first in these top 5 leagues, I fear for her that she is going to have to put up with a lot of that, because that's going to be the narrative that everyone is trying to like stamp onto her.
Yeah, it's quite interesting seeing accounts that have never spoken about Union at all in their lives suddenly having a real care for the results and how they're getting on in their first match under her. But between, that's the kind of thing that just inspires, not to make it, a big grand thing, but it does inspire young girls into coaching. And Emma Hayes can't do it all on her own,
exactly,
even if she is already prepping Gigi to become manager of the US women's national team in 2036.
My last thing was that I saw that Tom Gary reported in The Guardian this week, or last week when you're listening, that Daniel Levy was paid in the 2024-2025 season. Daniel Levy was paid more than all the 64 players and staff, including salaries, bonuses, pensions, everything, in the women's team combined.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Which I just think is like, even if when you're at the club deciding these things, you think he deserves that, just think about the optics.
Yeah. And also, having listened to Spurs fans over the past however long, I don't think he did deserve it, let's be honest. I don't think you can really justify him getting that much money. Oh, that's so disgusting.
It's so disgusting. So he got 5.76 million and the women's club cost 4.3 million. So it's quite a big difference there.
That is mad.
It is.
An entire, what do you say, 64 people? Bloody hell. This is the thing. In the men's side of football, obviously, there's a lot of clamour around the fact that Spurs might go down, might get relegated from the Premier League, which, A, funny. But B, I'm starting to get really concerned about what will happen to Spurs Women.
Yeah.
Because it is such a... We've seen it so many times. At the moment the men's side of a club goes into trouble or they get relegated, their first instinct is to gut the women's team.
Yeah.
And they can't do that in the same way they used to be able to, because now there is a lot of requirements around supporting the women's side of your club that come with, like, being in the Premier League, you have to do this. If you want to get back into the Premier League, you have to have a certain level of support for your women's team. But still, Spurs are on such an exciting journey, and they have a project that's being built, and even just sort of pulling away a few resources from that is going to derail the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I'm really concerned that they are going to do what every men's club does in this situation.
I agree. And I think even like with Spurs, that is such slow progress that was still the numbers. Like, yeah, they haven't been performing in the last few years, but when you look at those numbers, you kind of can see why. I mean, to be honest though, the amount spent on the women's team was lower than lots of Super League clubs like Brighton, Man U, Arsenal, but it was a lot higher than Liverpool, which was 3.12 million. And I have to say, I think Liverpool have got a lot to answer for on how they fund their women's team.
I think historically we have been dreadful, especially not that past successes means that inherently they should be paying more, they should be supporting the club regardless, but we were WSL winners.
Exactly.
Why have we just allowed the team? And that is why we kind of spent, time in the Championship, and why we've had such patchy seasons recently where we never capitalised on the season we finished fourth because the club didn't inject the right resources into it. And they've made steps, obviously getting the training ground back for the women and starting to put money into the budget for transfers. But Liverpool were the call is coming from inside the house. They have been very poor for
100%. Liverpool should have the same depth as a Chelsea or an Arsenal. Like, there is no excuse.
Yeah, and it should be the appeal. You think about all this flood of new fans that came to women's football over the past few years, and we didn't have any players in the Lionesses in 2022, and we're going to claim Taylor Hines. If she gets into the squad, we're claiming Taylor Hines. I'm sorry, but it's a more difficult job by not having those players to market off the back of. But you are still one of the most well-known clubs in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
We absolutely should be doing more. Watch this space. But one last shout out to our dear friends at Chunk, the ice cream shop in Leighton, Midland, who, when I went in the other night, said that they listen to us every Tuesday when they're prepping for the week, which is so personally exciting to me and Maya.
Guys, we love your ice cream. It's the best.
Genuine long-time lovers of Chunk. So, I think we just need to go to more Spurs games and then walk around and go get some more ice cream. That's all for Screamers this week, but come back next week when we'll be catching up with the latest from the WSL as it finally returns, and we'll have the Champions League semi-finals kicking off. But until then, you can follow us across Instagram, TikTok and YouTube at @screamers_pod, or drop us an email at screamerspod@gmail.com.
And please follow, rate and review us wherever you're listening to us right now so we can reach even more women's football fans. And if you enjoy Screamers, please support us at our coffee link, which is in the episode description. Bye!
Bye!